Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dale around Yak's Band with a fantastic show for you. The reason behind the recent ban wave was revealed. Build templates arrive next week and updates from the Guild Wars 2 system team and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow host. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion and host of Zero to Hero on this very channel. This past Wednesday, he led a group of many passengers on that holiday loot train we call the Labyrinth. Let's find out what was buried this week and hopefully uncover some stuff. Say hello to Jim.
Candy corn.
Candy corn all the way down.
And lots of candy corn. And actually people not dying on the Lich, except when Steve decided to join the party and then everybody died. But, you know, as you do. Hi, everybody.
Hey. And he streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question. We were talking about the real reason accounts were banned last week. I wonder how many accounts had a thief. Say hello to Age.
None, because we are responsible.
You mean special guest Miles Morales?
Don't you guys have a skill called pickpocket?
Don't judge us.
It's very easy to judge a thief. I'm sorry.
Not now that you're wearing that, I feel like the J. Jonah Jameson on the podcast. I'm always against the thief and
I mean, wait, Krista.
Huh? Oh, cool. That's really
but
cool.
well,
Okay.
Shall we jump right into it? I know last week we were talking about it and we kind of did warn people that since it did happen like literally day of, we didn't have all the information, but it was in part due to last week. It seemed like there was a ban wave going around and a lot of people thought it was due to Arc DPS or an older version. All that, a lot of theories were running around. And I know we said on the show, a lot of stuff was this happened on the weekend. You know, they're human beings. You know, ideally there's probably going to be a notice come Monday, and sure enough, come Monday, there was a post from a dev on the Reddit on that kind of big discussion page, I believe it was. But I think they said first there was no ban for Arc DPS in particular. They did say not sure how that rumor started. But it seems to come up every time a padlock is placed, and so far each time it was brought up, that was not the core issue. The folks spoke up who never used it. Could have been a bit of a tip-off, but they kind of go in further saying, you know, basically what happened was a user was actioned for very blatant cheating in PvP. The user in question had a bunch of other violations piled in as they investigated the situation, and they actioned his account and the account used to cheat with. In doing so, they also found that he had access to about 6 other game accounts, as these were accounts that were otherwise undamaged, aka no gold stolen, no characters deleted, no economic change to them after access. They found them to not be hacked, but shared with permission. All accounts this user accessed were also shut down under the same ban reason as the cheater used them at some point during the thing. So, long story short, and yeah, I guess chat's slumming up wonderfully, was should have waited till Monday. And I think that was the thing is, you know, I know a lot of people went and grabbed the pitchforks thinking that it was an Arc DPS reason.
We had pitchforks in chat.
But yeah, it kind of made sense though, given the like time frame of everything. Because like at the beginning of the week, you're told like build templates are getting removed from Arc DPS on the 15th, I think it was, and then on the weekend the ban wave happened, which I think was okay to do as long as they put out something saying, hey, we are doing a ban wave this week for X thing.
And chat is bringing up something of this was the other thing that people brought up was they should have communicated faster, but Remember in that, like, when I said earlier they had to investigate it, they weren't 100% sure what the reasons were. It probably took time, and once again, it was on a weekend. Like, how many people are happy when they say, "Hey, I need you to come and work on the weekend or catch up with work on the weekend"? You go, like,
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to come in on Saturday.
Yeah, that was the interesting bit. So I thought I didn't know if it was automated and then there was like a bunch of bans that weekend,
well,
or
I
if it
think
was a planned thing.
Yeah, that I'm not 100% sure about. It sounds like it was a planned-esque type thing, or
if it was
because they said they
automated, then it
investigated
makes
one
sense.
person and it was connected, unless it's an automatic trigger that triggered the other accounts that it found.
Yeah, if it's automated, it makes sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it was like organized, like we're going to ban these people, it's like.
But that's the problem. They don't discuss those things, because if they do, then people will try to find workarounds for it.
Now,
no, it's about banning for, like, we're banning these people for like cheating in PvP. That's it. Like, you don't have to give specifics. But if they said that, then people who got banned wouldn't say, "Oh, it's because of ARC DPS." It's because you cheated or your account got hacked or something.
The other thing is, and H, back me up on this, is standard IT procedure with any kind of possibly compromised account is lockdown, investigation, repair.
Mm-hmm.
So even the people who were getting unbanned and people are like, "Oh, they were wrongfully banned, Anet, rabble," like, that's standard procedure, and that's anywhere. Like, it's game accounts, company accounts, anywhere that has accounts will do that if they think your account has been compromised.
Yeah.
And honestly, Carnifex, the problem is I can't really say it's a stupid issue, because they're banning they're trying to get a hold on illicit activity. And if they're like, "Yeah, we're going to be banning," and then, the people they're trying to catch stop doing the thing, and then people don't get caught in the bandwagon. So should they have done things immediately after? Yeah, probably. But like, at the same time, it also seemed to happen late Friday, early Saturday, in which case they might not have had full staff to really send out all the stuff.
Yeah, but like I said last week, this is an important thing to note that you could probably learn from statistics and stuff. Correlation isn't causation. People jump to a conclusion with no proof whatsoever than they're angry about this previous thing, but they're two unrelated issues, as we see here.
But it did apparently that ArenaNet said there were some cases where people were banned and they never used Dark DPS. So that was like, that's very interesting. So maybe,
yeah, and I think I even talked about that last week, because I said in some of the comments, some people said that they weren't, and I think we said if it is an issue with Dark DPS, with software stuff, it could have been a false positive, because we didn't know either. I mean, that's just what we're speculating. So, but apparently they were a part of the problem, or their account was, and they don't use RTPS. But yeah, it's so I'm, be skeptical on both sides. That's what we were trying to go from the beginning. But yeah, a lot of people just jumped to a conclusion and had their, in air quotes, answer.
There's failure on I hate saying on both sides at this point, but like it legitimately is a problem on both sides. Yeah, they could have communicated better about this. Like, immediately after, they could have said, "Hey, a bunch of accounts were banned. It wasn't for ARC." Hindsight's 2020. However, the community getting like super aggro about this, like, it was somebody in chat said, the rage they felt over this. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, is a video game account really worth rage?
In general?
Well, like, there are some situations that involve rage. I get it.
Oh my God, it's Age is Spider-Man the whole time. Sorry,
I need to read chat, so I can't
his secret identity. But Rage, yeah, is it? And honestly, if your account gets banned and you have no idea why it was banned, you put in a ticket. I've never had a single issue with Anet support, be it for Guild Wars 1 or Guild Wars 2.
Though there are people out there that claim they do. So I'm not saying that, that's not a flawless system. I mean,
Well, no support system is flawless, but it's just
nothing
one of those
attached to
things-
humans is flawless. I'm just going to say that now.
But it's just one of those things where it's like there are steps to fix the problem, and it's ask the question via the appropriate channels, and you'll get an answer. The answer might be, you're screwed because you were sharing your account, in which case stop it, go get a new account. But I don't know.
But
I just
yeah,
I like
and I agree. Communication has always been a problem with ArenaNet. I wouldn't even say the past few years. It's been a rampant thing for a while. But like I've always said, it's also a double-edged sword, because every time they do start to open up, the community just smacks them back in the face, and just I don't envy any of them that.
Yep.
But I mean, there's not really much to go on off this. It's just kind of an update that popped up Monday, and figured we'd let people know if you haven't heard already or whatnot. But that being said, while it wasn't the RDPS thing, I still wouldn't recommend trying to use an older build template system or something. I mean, we'll talk about that later, because I know it comes up in one of the other topics that we have. But any other thoughts on the ban wave?
No, not really. Just like we figured out what went wrong, and that's about it.
Post-mortem, maybe they should have said something sooner from Anet's side.
It's just
Community side, breathe.
It's just interesting, because I've seen like other games, like Black Desert has said, like, we banned like X amount of accounts for this reason or something like that.
But when do they say that, and when do they do that? Because maybe if they found it out,
within the
Friday
time frame.
would have been the best day. Because if you're being like, okay, let's do this and go, I don't think they did it immediately and went home. But I do agree with what Chat was saying earlier. They probably also are trying to get it ready for the PvP season, especially since it was a PvP issue.
Well, PvP has had this issue for a while, so I don't think they could have waited an extra week.
Though, if you want to look at some slight positive, these people were permanently banned that PvP cheated in PvP. That hasn't really happened. It was always the slap on the wrist. So maybe they're finally trying to take PvP seriously, because it's like
it's too late for that, in my opinion. It's like they should have done it years ago.
Yeah, but this is where they're at now. It's I don't want to say a whole new crew, but everything's been shooken up, and it's basically like a new fresh ArenaNet that's trying to take hold. And yes, I know there's people that's been there for quite some time, but I think it's so much has been taken people wise that I think this is a new mentality coming out, and I think we'll probably see that going forward, like we'll talk about our other topics. But like we're talking about the losing of the RTPS build templates. I think we even said last week it is a bit weird that there was that gap in between where there were no template systems. Like I feel like it should have went right up to the official build template system, which good news, it is coming out next week. They did put out like a blog post. It was a lot of the same stuff that we've covered multiple times over, how many you get. They still didn't say full pricing, but they did still say from like the forum post that it would be somewhere between like the bag slot expansions or the I think bank tab expansions, which kind of puts it between like 400 to 600 gems
Yeah, and I was seeing people say it'll be cheaper to make a new character than to buy new slots.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you get the slots for.
In which
And I
case,
know a lot of people that said they probably don't need the template system because there are some people that just made other characters. I mean, Age, you were saying it wouldn't affect you that much originally when we were talking about it because you have, what, 3 thieves? And that's the one that you predominantly play,
At least, yes.
at least.
Yeah. And so like when they roll it out to World vs. World and PvP, like if I ever play PvP again, but like I'll have setups ready. So I'll have one thief for PvP, I have one thief for actually I'll have my one thief for PvP and possibly raids. I have another one for oh no, wait, I will have some. Okay, so I'll have my main thief for World vs. World. I have my human female meta thief for PvP, and
Fashion.
I'll have
Oh. We said human female meta, so I was like, for fashion, because that's.
for fashion and for PvP.
Fair enough.
And then I'll have my Assyrian thief for raids. And I'm good.
And do remember, I think it is, what, the first week they're giving us a set of the stuff for free.
Yes.
they're
So-
giving you a 3-pack of the
Let's just pick that up.
storage.
Or the first month. Sorry, Chad said the first month. I apologize.
Yeah, you can get what you can do up to 24 slots for the account bound storage,
Yes.
and I think you start with 3 and you can get another 3. Which, if it's the account bound storage, that's the stuff that'll actually benefit people who have multiple characters of the same class. So Age having his multiple thief builds.
Yeah, the account storage will be like I'll hold all my other thief builds that I want to like swap in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And like every other profession will just have like a standard, like, I don't know, like a PV, like a raid build and maybe a PV build or a PvP build, depending on like what character it is. Because I don't, I could honestly use the raid build for PvE because it's easy enough. But
Yeah, Zach, that's probably like people might buy just a equipment slot, so then you can have a 1-to-1 of gear to build.
which annoys me so much that they didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, look at hot dogs and hot dog buns.
Yeah,
Oh,
hot dog bundos, man.
Yeah, we got hot dog bunned.
I hate that analogy, but I understand it.
And yeah, I mean, from just seeing it, while I am defending that, I think it's, an okay thing, that I'm not surprised that they're charging for extra slots, because, like I said, I still ask, name me a buy-to-play / free-to-play game in the current market that's, relatively new that would be adopting those
Yeah.
what the market is surrounding. That's a common purchase strategy. I still don't agree with people that say they're charging for a quality of life feature, because they're not. They do give you the feature for free with some slots to play around with, but additional things.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like, I bought Guild Wars 2 and I only got 5 character slots at default, but there's 8 professions. At the time, let's just say I have a launch.
All I got
A
was
lot
the
of people complain
stupid
about that,
t-shirt.
but it's once again, it's like, that's the market of a buy-to-play, free-to-play game, where they give you some stuff, and then if you want to continue with it or expand upon it. Now, granted, yes, I would love an unlimited system. Once again, I truly feel like it is a limitation of the engine and the system itself, because in the past we talked about posts where, what was it? Was it Lindsay Murdoch?
Lindsay Murdoch for the
That was doing a lot of the inventory stuff, where she was like, "Oh, I had to do this, but it's always hard to find because of the currency bag and like what can be." It's that real juggling issue. I think that they have.
In this case, I think it's different just because it's more multiples of it's more of the same thing rather than Lindsay Murdoch was working on each.
Well, I'm using that as like an example, but we've had in the past with bank tab slots where at first you only had 14 or something like that, and then they're like, "Hey, we are able." I'm guessing that's how it worked the same way, if they were able to manipulate the code or whatever to free up room or something like that to have the
Yeah.
two new bank tab slots or something. So I'm hoping down the road it's something that they discover and they're able to open it up. And
I am wondering if it's just they want to gauge how much like storage space they'll need for this in order to like give more space. That's what I'm interested. That's my question. Because with the bank tabs, it would make sense because over the years, your bank tabs are going to be constantly filled up. And then they add more so that you can buy more, so you can have more space. And then they made the account storage with the currencies and in order to make more space for your. So I wonder if it's just like we realize like players are having limited space. Let's try to find ways to make more space. So I wonder if it's, but like also not buy new database or servers to like compensate for it. Let's find workarounds before that. So I wonder if it's kind of like the same scenario that they're in right now. Just interested. I don't know how that works. So
yeah, and that's what we're, all speculation on a system that we have not seen or had any hands-on the back end. So it's, but yeah, I'm excited to actually see it and try it hands-on, because I think that's been our thoughts about it, is it's kind of tough to say from, granted they've showed it off and stuff, but I'm wondering if it will be as bad, but I think in the end it will always be bad for the people that were running the templates on ArcDPS where they had literally 40 or so for a character.
Well, and that's I still like challenge that whole idea of having 30 or 40 bits of gear, 30 or 40 unique builds per character, because how many of them were just minor trait changes or a few pieces of gear difference?
Yeah.
Because I did notice that when I was messing around, I do have one legendary weapon. It's a Warhorn, mostly because I was playing Tempest at the time. In the customize window, there is now a checkbox where I pick the stats where it says set this for all weapons. So I'm going to assume at this point that they've also upgraded the armor to do the same thing. And I would hope that runes do the same thing. Sigils, it wouldn't make sense to have that, but
yeah.
Without having legendary armor to check, I can't confirm that. But
as Zekrox brings up a interesting point, because they mentioned that they had a bug with the armor.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna strip down all my characters, and then when the templates come in, I'll just put my armor back on.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is Monday night, let's all go to Lion's Arch and have a strip off naked party, right?
Streaking party in Lion's Arch. Yep.
Yeah. Where's that event? Come on. And I still agree with Chad. Like, it would have been nice if we got 30 upgraded Halloween bags and stuff.
Yes. Oh my God.
Maybe
yes.
that's where you could have dumped some cobs in, or Mystic Forge recipe or something.
All of the crafting recipes, the candy, the skulls, the teeth, there's a third one I can't remember, but like
the nougat.
Yeah, the nougat. Like, that would have been great to have an upgrade path for the pails, but I don't know.
But yeah, there's not too much to say with the template system that I don't think we've already haven't said or something until we get our hands on it. Hopefully this coming Tuesday. But any other thoughts from the build templates coming on Tuesday?
Nope.
Kind of staying in the realm of build templates and third-party add-ons, and also kind of the PvE and endgame in general. From two of these are one was from a YouTube video from Mighty Teapot, of course, talking about the third-party program, and brought up an interesting thing of, because I guess they reiterated the terms of service and how he believes in the video that they have opened up and been more leeway, or had more leeway with the idea of third-party programs and build templates. Which, here's the Reddit post to see other people's discussions, but it's, I think, like a 4-minute video, so it's pretty well packed and it's to the point. But real quick, it kind of just, he focuses on the TOS, and they do say in there, if you choose to use third-party programs, you're responsible for making sure you're not doing so in a way that violates the game rules. And I think it mentions what were like the 3 areas that it was talking about, was the like no automation of the character. Now I'm blanking on like what the 3 things were in the video or in the terms of service, but I guess like statistical advantage, like an advantage. But anyway, like he feels that the third party build templates are okay in this regard, which I really want to put a caveat here it's, I personally wouldn't recommend it, and I think even Teapot mentions best not to push the envelope too much regarding future potential third-party programs, but also warns players to verify that your third-party programs are valid and don't break the terms of service. And honestly, I think this is the biggest problem of all, is and I think it kind of maybe is an example here is, use at your own risk, is, he even says he feels it doesn't break the terms of service. Unfortunately, once again, going back to like Chad saying, use at your own risk, he doesn't make those rules, and the terms of service is very vague for those reasons, which is, and I know some people have said, and they kind of don't want to usually come out and say, this is a safe one, this isn't a safe one type thing, because it requires them keep an upkeep, but they need some type of system, because I mean, or just say no third party program. Like, I really think they're trying to please everyone here, and in the end, they're just gonna destroy a lot more people than it actually is.
So yeah, it sounds like third-party programs are okay. It's just like you need to stay within TOS. It's kind of like there's no regulation on it. That's the problem. So I don't know how WoW does it. Is there like
the WoW, it allows add-ons.
Oh, so
That's
it's
it.
just
You don't.
They're just,
you cannot run a program that is running alongside WoW. Also, they reserve the risk. They reserve the right to just flat out remove add-ons from availability. I've talked before about the one that used basic trigonometry to defeat raid encounters, because it would basically paint zones on your screen. Like, they were technically 2D shapes because that's all add-ons can do, but they would change shape as you moved with the camera. That would say, hey, you're standing in an AoE that is about to happen. So,
okay. Yeah, so
and they banned that one.
There's a lot of because then that's kind of the problem, right? Because if you allow the floodgates to open and you don't regulate it, you can just like legit just say this program is not up to standard. We're going to ban you if you use it.
Well, that's
the only thing you can do, or they legit just ban you without saying anything, and they're allowed to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, and that I think is a problem of I think that's definitely a big problem, because you're not gonna get any welfare or you're not gonna have a positive community if you're just, especially in the situation like, if someone has an add-on that is like truly like it's automating your systems and stuff, and you can't really suss that out, that might not be a good idea. But like, if you had an issue with build templates and stuff, you're using the Arc DPS thing and you're not plugged into the internet constantly, or you're maybe a more, probably the majority of gamers that just play the game, they don't visit the forums, they don't look at social media. They don't look at any of that stuff, and kind of goes back to how Jim was saying last week. They'd have to have some kind of in-game mechanism, or even like I suggested, just in case if it's a returning person or something, it would have to push out a new DLL just so it clean sweeps everybody.
Yeah, it sucks because
but yeah, because it now has become a thing that they don't want people using anymore. We don't know if they're going to ban for it, but they don't want to use it anymore just because they're having their own system in place.
Well, the problem that ArenaNet has said this, in order to officially sanction an add-on, like to actually full on give it stamp of approval, yes, you're okay, that add-on would have to submit to oversight by ArenaNet, and they don't want to take the time to do that because that takes manpower.
I would say that's a lot of manpower.
So you shouldn't allow third-party add-ons. That's what you should do, because
basically, yeah,
at this point you're just allowing people to make third-party add-ons, and they may be good, they may be not. Someone could make a meme of the day thing, and that's all it does. Someone could allow the pre-attempt attack thing, like you mentioned, for in WoW for Guild Wars, and
well, technically Guild Wars already has it in there with the
well, it could be a pre thing,
yeah.
You know, but you kind of get what I mean. So like at that point, it's like, okay, we allow third-party add-ons, but we're not regulating it. So how do we go about flagging people if they have a bad third-party software? Like, do we ban them? Do we give them a warning? Do we like X, Y, Z? And then that gets even worse, in my opinion, because then you have to manage it, because then you're gonna have a bunch of people banned. Let's say they ban people without saying anything, right? So they have a bunch of people banned. They're going to have a bunch of people call support, and that's still more manpower that you're taking away from other support issues. So I say, if you're going to allow third-party add-ons, just you need a team to like look at them.
Yep. You
have to, because you're going to cause more problems for yourself down the road, or just not allow them. Because I just see problems.
They could make it a event. I mean, do they like Arena? I'm talking to you now. Do you still have the ArenaNet TV thing? Maybe once a month, you have a you have like the studio thing, and like literally hanging on like string or something, or written on styrofoam is like the MAAD or something, and then you just have it could be random people. Let's start off with Ruby's been the kind of like face from like the Guild Wars 2 Twitch, I would say, with just like a samurai sword or something, and then you have that thing and she just slices it in half, and it's like, that one's a no-go.
Wow.
Okay.
I tune in once a month for that to figure out, like, that's a fun way to figure out if the mod's okay or not.
Moving on.
Good. But yeah. And even going further beyond that, if third-party add-on is okay at first, but then they update it and it's not okay, like, I just see so many problems. It's what we have right now, but we don't have a bunch of third-party add-ons. I think we have like 5 well-known ones, and then maybe a handful of others.
I only know of 2 mods.
It's like Taco.
Right, Taco. Okay, 3, because there was Arc, Taco, and the radial menu for mounts are the only 3 I knew of.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. If you open the floodgates, you have to be prepared for what you're going to do, and you have to be prepared for the community's
which is kind of funny, because a lot of the more popular ones are like, I think the main purpose that add-ons were okay in WoW was like how Jim used to say it all the time, is it puts in features that they don't have time to develop or anything like that. And I think that's how they were going forward with the build template idea. That's why they gave them that stipulation of, you can have it on your on Arc DPS until we come up with a system.
Yeah.
And
then it becomes
But like with the radial mount thing, I would love that to be an in-game thing, but it's
But then we get into a huge discussion of if they make it and you know people are forced to remove it, but it's less effective or you have to pay for it type of deal and all that stuff.
And I
then
will still argue with you. You're not paying for the feature.
I'm not saying
Okay.
that's discussion that's going to happen.
Yes, that is yes.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think people should just like make a. I really think people should
Yeah,
be
this
careful
is
about
a
this.
dangerous like waters to tread, and
If-
even though I think Teapot from the video was saying he, in his best judgment, he thinks it's fine. Once again, no problems with Teapot, but I'm just saying, in the end, it is used at your own risk. Unless there is some announcement that I missed, he isn't in charge of it. Heck, Arena, let's hire Teapot, and he can be the guy that judges them. He can have the samurai sword.
Like in this case, you have to make sure all your third-party software, when you upgrade it, you know it's still valid and not against TOS. It's
Yeah.
up to you at that point as the
Um,
player to make sure your account's going to be okay.
To address what Mafago just said about the kill switch, that since there's no actual like in-game modding framework like officially, Arc's kill switch for build templates would have been hard coded by Delta. So it's not like the kill switch is a standard part of anything that would go into being modded in Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Because our Delta could have just said, I'm not going to do it, lol, and just left the build templates in.
Yeah.
We have like a gating. If he had a gating feature, maybe, but I don't. Or feature gating.
And we're not suggesting that they have or anything like that. It's just that could be the potential problem with how this system is set up, and that's the worrying part. Is
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to allow for more third-party programs, that's fine, but it's dealing with the ones that are not good or against TOS.
Yep.
That's going to be the interesting bit.
Dealing with stuff that's not good, that's when you get Steam.
oh, but
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
and you know, Chad's saying then it sounds like it should be at a requirement. That's great for the ones that are okay, but there's no official spot to say these are trusted third-party mods. So if you're just looking at Reddit and then someone just is like, well, here's my mod, and I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to sift through. It's like, is this approved? Is this not? And then you're just relying on someone saying, yeah, it is. Which
the only
is
problem
there any
is
official? But yeah.
much like I was talking about with stuff like having an official, like they would then have to have oversight. They cannot say something is permitted unless they are capable of doing a code review. So and then they have to, in order to maintain any kind of system where they control or they have an official say-so on a mod, they need to devote resources to it. And honestly, I don't think they want to do it. I don't blame them for not wanting to do it, because then you have to develop an entire API. You need to do a developer toolkit. You have to have tutorials, because you have to be able to tell people this is how you're allowed to mod within this box of the game. These are the commands that you have access to.
They obviously don't have the time for that.
Yeah.
So
like Blizzard can do it for World of Warcraft, but that's because it's Blizzard and World of Warcraft. So
But yeah, any other thoughts on the basically Teapot's video about the build template system? I mean, I think it's important to know. I think he even said in the comments of that Reddit post that while he suggests that he feels that it would be okay to use it, but I think he even said in the comment section, because someone asked him, they're like, well, are you gonna still be using them afterwards? And he said he's fine with the one that ArenaNet's implementing, so he doesn't feel the need to. So
yeah, I would not use it, to be on the safe
I
side,
would not
to be
recommend
honest.
it either.
Yeah, I would say don't use it personally, just because they obviously it's obviously going to fight against the monetization that they want from it, obviously. So yeah, that's gonna be a problem.
This
And
this
yeah,
idea, I'm sorry, the idea that somehow Arc's build templates will be permitted to run alongside of, when they say that an add-on, a third-party program circumvents game mechanics, because build templates are now a game mechanic, you are circumventing game mechanics.
yeah.
Like they said, and even when Delta put build templates in, they said you can do that until we make our own. Guild Wars 2 has its own build templates now.
Mm-hmm.
So, for better or worse. But yeah, another video that popped up this week was actually from Nike DNT about basically quickly talking about, because I think it was only like a 10-minute video, about the various content in terms of PvE and kind of PvE and its end game, and kind of say his thoughts are, and I would agree that a lot of people on the outside of in the gaming culture in general look at Guild Wars 2 and just say there is no PvE end game, or there is no end game, whatnot. And I think he kind of breaks down each of the different things, and here's the Reddit discussion and has a link to the video in there if you are at all interested. But he kind of breaks it down, and we'll kind of quickly talk about them, of the meta events, dungeons, fractals, strike missions, and raids. And I think he does at the beginning talk about basically the open world as in like the meta events, and I guess he separates meta events into the ones that we are well known with HOT, but also kind of the ones that are like a bigger culmination of the story that only takes up some of the map that we've seen in POF and kind of original core areas. But I guess the surrounding the world bosses. But yeah, I guess, I mean, I'm glad that, and I'm not surprised that he did separate dungeons and fractals, because I know a lot of people that like to lump that together, and a lot of people that hate when people lump it together, because I think we've been on that end of, we're like, yeah, we'd love to see dungeons again, and people say, well, yeah, fractals. It's like,
Not
yeah,
the same. Not the same. I would say that like the distinction is that they're more rooted in, like, fractals can be any story. Fractals can have literally anything going on in the world be related. Dungeons feel like they're more rooted in what's going on in Tyria, because fractals are in the mists. They can be anything. Dungeons very much less so.
yeah. And he talks about the strike missions, and I know we talked about them previously. It's hard to get a read on them just because we're in like step 1 of them, and hopefully they're supposed to be more, slightly more intense, but not as intense as like the raids. But chat's saying fractals are isolated from the overall narrative. Yeah, and they try to slightly attach them to it by having like an outside narrative. I mean, we had with like is it Dessa? That's the person that runs the fractals. I'm trying to remember. Like, she kind of had her narrative that kind of was, but once again, she's time locked in the sense of, like, I remember when the whole, you talk about she's surprised to see Sylvari. She was interested that she heard about Ellen Keel as like elite, like one, like she wasn't even aware of the election type thing. So it's like even she's detached from the own time locked narrative. Like she's time locked inside of time locking. It's so yeah. But as chat's saying, and I think as you're getting across, is dungeons are cemented in the world of, which granted they're locked into time locking, but they're contained to, I think, the time locking of that particular map, which helps it flow better.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, Chad brings up a good point. It's kind of, yeah, if you're just lumping in by the characteristics of something, there's different gradients to it. So, I mean, it'll almost be like saying strike missions are equal to raids, which
Yeah, strike missions are raids. Totally.
but
That's 100% what they are.
actually, I would say strike missions are more so the dungeons, because raids have to have slightly that detached story because they kind of set that up at the beginning. Like it's a side story that doesn't have impact on the thing, but so far, the strike mission we've had was kind of story related. I mean, it's almost like the dungeons of raids.
Yeah. I need
But
to do that. I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Chad is saying Nike did sum it up nicely what it is, although people can technically choose what is their end game. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Collecting all legendaries, armor, getting rich, customizing their home instances or guild halls. Yeah, and I did see some people commenting in the Reddit post where I think some people jokingly said like, oh, Fashion Wars, which I think also leads to the problem with end game is everything kind of relies on is the thing cosmetically pretty. Like there's no care on a stick because, and I think he mentions this in raids, is the kind of reason we have like the world first happen within a day, whereas other games like WoW and Final Fantasy have it week or multiple weeks, where because you have to get the gear, you have to collect the gear to be more powerful, whereas Guild Wars 2 doesn't really have that. You hit max level, you get proper gear. You don't have to start going into the Heart of Thorns raids or go to the catch up like zone that they added to get your gear higher so you can go do the POF raid or whatnot. So you can start wherever you want. But yeah, and I think that's the positive, like that's a cool thing about Guild Wars 2, but it's also the thing that is probably the hardest to get other MMORPG players into Guild Wars 2, because I think for a lot of people, the carrot on the stick or the thing that makes them want to have the new content is the rewards. I mean, that's the biggest gripe is, are the rewards good enough? Well, it's never about have I had fun. The fun for them, for those particular people, are what dragon, like what horde do I get? Like basically they want a dragon horde. It's like
one of the things with Guild Wars 2 is it's a lot closer to a sandbox game than a lot of other MMOs, in the fact that you hit the end game and you, like you said, you very much have to choose your own adventure, and you have to maintain that motivation to do a thing, because if you can't, then you're not ever going to get the thing that you want. So
and I see chat. Oh, go ahead.
Well, it's just I'm looking at what Zachary X is saying with like there is no end game with the end game isn't fun, and it's the problem I have then is then if you don't like the end game, then it's probably not the game for you.
Yeah, I would slightly
PvP
tweak it as
dub.
What rewards are there, because I think that's what drives a lot of MMO players and like RPG players is what's the trinket at the end that I get for saving the queen or whatever.
Yeah,
and because it's like, yeah, what do I get out of it? And I think if a dev just said, well, you get to enjoy the story and the narrative and the combat, they'd be like, yeah.
And
like, yeah, it's like there's not a point for him. And especially, like I said, with Guild Wars 2, since it is very cosmetic at this point, like there is no care on the stick. I mean, you could argue legendary armor for the convenience, but it's not statistically the best. Like you could easily get the statistically best stuff, not even touching a raid, or even 5-man content or anything like that. So yeah, it does comes out to, does that look work for my character? And I mean, we've talked about it multiple times, even with gem store stuff. I know I've said like I like the look of it, but wouldn't go on any of my characters, so I probably wouldn't buy it. And I think at this point, that's the hardest thing for people, is they have a look for their character, and they don't need to maybe go out. Like, what are they really going in for the raids for? Is it a fun experience, or is it a skin that they want? And I think for a lot of people, that's the reward, and then they don't feel like it's rewarding. But yeah, it's basically if you haven't seen the Nike post about breaking down the end game, but yeah, we were basically, as a quick recap, talking about, I mean, what's in game for everybody, and I mean, like Jim was saying, it's so variable.
Because like the game was initially designed to like not have end game. You could just basically start, like you could just do whatever you wanted when you like first start the game, within reason, obviously. Because like you could if you like back in 2012, you can literally just like log in and you could start leveling up in World vs. World. You could play PvP, and you wouldn't, because like there's no level gate on that. I think for now, I think it's like you need to be a certain level for World vs. World when you have a free account. But
I think it's 65, I want to say.
I thought it was 50, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it's like you can play whatever you wanted. You could even probably do dungeons, I think, as long as you can get there. The only gating you would have is like how far can you get without dying, essentially. So like the world was your oyster, but obviously there needed to be end game for some people in terms of the traditional MMO sense. So that's why now we have fractals, as well as raids, which have strike missions. Dungeons were a type of end game, I guess, in terms of the other paths, but yeah, it's like, but those are like, I think, level dependent.
Yeah.
No, they're not level dependent, I don't think. But yeah, anyway. Now and then, like people have a reason to constantly play, but like as mentioned earlier, the WoW and Final Fantasy have a gear treadmill, so that's why it takes longer for people to clear raids or dungeons.
And honestly, that's their design, mainly because I think that stems back to D&D. You always want to give them another reward that makes them a little bit stronger and stuff like that. It's, building your character, but also it is a great thing to keep people in the seat. So hey, it took you a month and a half. Well, that gave us 2 months of a subscription, and also bought them more time to make something.
So with Guild Wars 2, it specifically with raids, I think the difficulty becomes harder to make better raids, just because you need to come up with new mechanics that are challenging, because you'll see a lot of mechanics being reused, and people, like, if you've raided for
I already know how to do it.
You know how to do it, more or less. There might be like a new caveat to it, but like you can get around it pretty easily. So it all becomes about your rotation at that point for that fight, and just nailing it. So that's why I feel like raids are hard to make in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I won't say that's the only reason why we haven't seen raids. Raids are on a long cadence, but I feel like it's one of the reasons, because you don't want to see like a completely recycled mechanic fight and just have it like have new boss to fight in a different area. that people wouldn't like that. So like you want to have an engaging fight that's different, that has different mechanics, maybe some like a few mechanics from other bosses, but maybe rehashed in a way that's different. Um, so we'll see. We'll see about that anyway. With strike missions, it's going to be an evolving fight, and I'm actually really interested how much it will evolve into.
Yeah.
It has a lot of potential for that as well. So it also has the potential for teaching new players just how to actually fight large bosses with like mechanics, because I think the story modes, for example, Balthazar fight at the end of Path of Fire, I think is a good indicator of a lot of AoE coming at you, and you have to decipher which you need to
Mhm.
dodge and all that stuff.
Oh, the Balthazar fight. That was
yeah.
fun.
It was
but
fun,
can
but
be-
I could definitely tell it's out of nowhere, especially if that's
yeah.
all you're used to is story stuff. Like it's a
So it could be overwhelming for players
yeah.
at that point. So like I think strike missions are a nice way to bridge the gap between like to get the learning curve up for players who don't have that curve. So we'll see about that. Fractals, we just honestly knew fractals, but I don't think there hasn't been a new one in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're considering raising the cap or anything like that, but do you guys hear this? The game is more. It's always been designed to be casual. You can literally play 2 hours a day. You can play 1 hour a week, and
Yeah,
that was kind of the point of the game.
Yeah, I think for people that are truly thinking that it's like this game's maybe a mecca for hardcore gamers or something like I mean, granted, I don't think you're gonna find that in any MMO at this point. Like MMOs have been slowly dumbed down to
WildStar
a massive
tried to do that.
Yes, and
we all know where WildStar is.
No, we don't. That's the problem.
Pour one out for WildStar.
But yeah, I really think the days of a hardcore
hardcore
MMO experiences.
I won't say
unless
like,
that's from the get-go, and that's gonna be very niche. Like, I mean, you have, and I think hardcore has changed in mind because a lot of people are now chasing the survival aspect of like games and making MMO servers, like MMO survival games. And it's like you got to drink water and stuff, so that's like the new hardcore. But yeah, it's not hardcore content. Like
it's more like we. I think today it's just more challenging content is wanted in these types of games where like yes you can have the casual aspect of it. It could be a majority of your game, but there's some people want like a challenge inside the game because the combat system in Guild Wars 2 is really good. And they want to put it to the test and their skill to the test against different obstacles. So that's why people want challenging content to see how they can.
And Chad's bringing up like maybe a hot 2.0 where, and you even saw it with season 2 where they even, I remember they gave that warning of you're probably not going to just want to run a pure glass cannon build, and they were warning people because the torment stuff. But I was actually starting to think of a system similar to the one I brought up on the Warframe podcast a couple weeks ago at this point, because people are also trying to figure out a harder way to do endgame. I guess my biggest question, at least for the meta event / open world aspect, how does it exactly work with if you have 2 people playing? Because it just basically equals both people out. Like it's not like you're fighting a different version. So I don't think my idea would work for that, but it could potentially work for dungeons, fractal strike missions, basically stuff that you're instant into. Is it for people that don't know, real quick rundown of one of the ideas we were talking about on the Warframe was basically if you think of Halo, like all skulls on, like the skull stuff, where you could basically add modifiers. I was hoping in Warframe we had like just basically changing the theme of it, but in this, heck, we had the we had the gods. Like, what if there was different things that you could activate during instance missions? Ideally everywhere, but I don't think that's realistic for open world. That would add certain modifiers to you or the enemy, kind of like fractal instabilities, but you get to try it, and maybe increases reward percentage or special drops at certain levels. But you could do that. You could do the dragons maybe during holidays. There's a Mad King version that you could add to your gameplay that really screws things up. Winners, but like something that you could theoretically crank it up, and it kind of goes back to Guild Wars 1 where you had the normal mode and hard mode, and that worked on the other instances, but that was because the quote unquote open world was instanced, like it wasn't an open world. But I don't know, and granted this is all speculating on no clue of how the system works. I don't even know if that's feasibly possible. The Nightfall modifier card in Destiny 2. I'm not too familiar with it, but okay.
It's basically they give you a buff or debuff. Like enemy melee attacks are stronger type of deal, or things like that.
And yeah, maybe
void damage deals more damage.
And maybe if they go with the gods and the dragons as like a modifier aspect, what if there was some kind of weird bonus if you combine certain things? Like, what if you had Balthazar and Primordius? Maybe it gets more intense because they're both the kind of gods of fire, or god and dragon of fire, or something like that. But or different other pairings, but I don't know. That was one idea that when I was looking at this stuff, I was like, maybe that could work, but only in instance base, which would still leave the meta events. Which, I don't know. I feel like open world and the meta events are probably in a decent place. I mean, I would like to see another, like, bigger, harder one to come out, which I think a lot of people are speculating one might soon be coming, but
I don't necessarily want to see a map come out that you literally cannot run around solo in, because that's okay. So imagine you're on a super active dub map and you died and you have to get back to the Zerg that you were with.
Yeah.
And the interim space is an active server where all 3 servers are capped out. Like, I don't want to have to deal with that death run, because I think in dub I expect it because it's a type of PvP gameplay. In PvE, I don't necessarily know if that would be fun. So that's just a thought there.
Chad is saying, what if it is able to solo, but there needs to be a bigger consequence to dying? Like maybe there's one waypoint in the whole map.
Well,
I mean, we kind of used to have that with Ore and
Heart of Thorns did it.
Yeah, Heart of Thorns did it a lot too.
Yeah. The fewer waypoints. I
think really it could be a modifier. I mean, though, don't they have that with? Wasn't there a fractal one where once you're down, you're dead? Like, I thought there was a fractal instability, but I would like to see like a challenge mode that kind of harks back to Guild Wars 1, where once everybody's down, you have to exit. Like, there's not a go back to the,
there's no waypoint. The instance is dead. Yeah.
If everybody dies in your group, it's game over. Like, which that would be an interesting modifier for people. But yeah, I don't know. It is a tough question, especially how Guild Wars 2 is different than any other MMO really out there, where you're not having that statistical carrot on a stick. But I think a little. I mean, any final thoughts on because I know we still got, I think, some probably bigger exciting news that probably is going to take up some time. So I don't know.
Anything that I would go into would be more after showy stuff. So
okay. And I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube or whatnot, you can always continue the conversation there. I'd love to hear people's thoughts of maybe even, and I think this is always important. I know people hate it as the idea of they copy off things, but that's how WoW became super popular, was they take concepts and manipulate it and fit it into their game. What other things from other games do you like, besides probably statistical increases, because I don't think that's going to happen, but what do other MMOs do right? What do other single player games do right that you would want to see in Guild, in Guild Wars 2? Guild features. Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
Fishing. I would love, well, that's going to, we'll save a lot of that for after show, because once again, would love to see a Guild Wars 2 fishing in the style I think that would be fitting for Guild Wars 2, not just straight on WoW fishing or something. But, they're talking about guild features, which, is kind of like a system in the game, right?
Get out.
What? But I don't know if that's one of the systems. But yeah, this past week we got a blog post about the systems team update. And it looks like things are getting shifted around, and I think for a positive, which I think is definitely an uptick for, I think, all the worry that we've had in the past of, the big layoffs and then Mo leaving and, the ARC DPS ban that wasn't an ARC DPS ban and all this piling on negativity. But yeah, it appears the systems team, Cal Cohen, is the new systems team competitive designer. Ben P will transition to a new role as design manager for Guild Wars 2. And for people that don't know, Ben P, I think has been a big driving force of, I think, being at least in touch with the community, of like talking with the community. I think I've heard in the past has been on, like, sat in chat for like Teapot and stuff like that, like talking to people back and forth. So I'm actually super excited that, he's becoming a design manager, see what he gets to do. But his previously was the skills designer, oversaw a lot of balance changes with sign off from designer workers on competitive content. The PvE balance, they said, will remain in the hands of skills designers, but PvP and World v World balance will now be handled by competitive designers, which I think a lot of people are hopeful for. They said as a team they want to increase their presence on the forums and be more open about upcoming changes to get feedback earlier. In the future, they'll also begin calling out specific times when some of them will be present on the forums to collect feedback through targeted threads. Which, look, they're trying to open up communication. Once again, I think this is important. They're trying to reach out and be like, we want to communicate more. Let's not throw that back in their face.
Well, apparently Cal used to be a pro, like one of the pro PvP players.
Oh, okay.
So it's somebody that like is solid with the game and has a good grasp on the gameplay mechanics, is now in charge of competitive balancing. So like,
yeah, ideally should have a good idea or towards it, but
yeah.
And now it seems separate, so they don't have to worry about wanting to try to keep it all blanket across all three game modes, which is, I think we said in the past, always a
fun.
Well, new elite specs, no mention of that here, unfortunately, but
Hey, do you guys know why they call him CMC?
I do not.
Because he's dynamite. That's what I was looking for. Right there. My job is done, guys.
Good night, everybody.
I'm not.
You're not allowed to yell at Deo anymore.
That wasn't a pun, though. It was just good fun.
Tamale, I don't think the game is ready for new elite specs yet. I really don't.
I would like Tengu now, though.
I really don't think we're going to see new races, but I think new races are more likely than a new class. And like, I don't think there's going to be any new classes.
Give
Elite
me
specs,
Tengu.
hopefully.
You can make
Races
it.
would be nice, but class.
I
new
thought
class, I
about-
don't think.
I thought about how they can introduce Tengu and everything, because you know how they have that cordoned off area, Tengu area, in Kalyan Forest.
Next to Lion's Arch.
Is it next to Lion's Arch? Yeah.
Yep.
So there, that area. All right. So it could be like a sanctuary, but it actually leads into like a area south, but it's in the sky. And then Tengu can get to it, but there will be a portal so that other races can get to it, type of deal. And then that's their home city. And then they can start like a whole story around it. You know what? ArenaNet just hired me. I'll help you out with it. Don't worry. Don't worry. You know what? I'll do it for free. Let's get Tengu in there.
Okay.
I really want Tengu. Tengu are really
Just
cool.
reskin a char, right? That's all you got to do.
How dare you, sir?
Actually, probably
Wow.
skin a char. That's what they look like. What?
We've
But-
evolved very quiquely.
But
That's
to
pretty
focus-
normal for this show.
To focus on like the World v World PvP aspect, because I know that's, I think out of the 3 game modes, that's the 2 that are definitely hurting the most. Cal Cohen shared a mini balance roadmap on the forums for both World v World and PvP, which once again they're showing us a roadmap. Don't hold it to stone. Let's not make this the you promised us. Like, once again, this is that whole communication thing that,
It's the next
you know.
2 balance patches essentially that they want to do. So
yeah.
it's not too
So
bad.
yeah, ideally with the next balance update, it's going to be smaller than usual. They wanted to make a handful of very targeted changes to address the biggest pain points in the current meta, but they also want to bank some time for bigger plans moving forward. So for a future balance update, they are looking at major adjustments across the board, and the goal is to reestablish what the overall power level for competitive modes, and then bring everything down to meet that. And they just said, with that said, they're not going to nerf just for the sake of nerfing. Every change should make sense, and every change should be working toward a bigger goal. So
I have to say, both of these threads, like specifically the PvP one, it was nerf X, buff Y, and it was just post after post after post of that. I'm like, guys, you need to have a specific reason. Like I talk about thieves not feeling like I have a cooldown window to exploit with them. The same thing could really be extrapolated to Mesmers with the Mirage class. So like,
Yeah, I would say like for example, buff dagger. It's I would say something like buff dagger because you nerfed it into the ground for no reason and now it's useless. Something
well, see,
like
that's specifics. It's not just buff dagger. It's like, okay, what about dagger?
but like
Like,
main hand dagger just doesn't feel good. Honestly, they made it feel terrible, and they should bring it a little bit back up, so at least it feels like I'm actually doing some damage. And nerf dagger storm damage. I don't know why they buffed it so much. It's kind of ridiculous.
reasons.
Like the first buff to dagger storm was great. The other 2 were not needed, in my opinion. But yeah, like I would be saying things like that, but I don't go on the forums anymore. So I'll just see what they do.
And yeah, that's the one thing I like the idea of. They're saying that they want to go to the forums. Hopefully that does drive people to the forums to actually use it, hopefully for good. Because I know I think it's been very cemented in Guild Wars 1 where they didn't have official forums. They really relied on, I think at the time it was Guild Wars Guru and like other avenues. But now it's like it almost feels like a lot of times the Guild Wars 2 subreddit feels more of a forum place, go-to place than the forums themselves. And
for me, it was like they wanted feedback. And this is the last time I actually gave feedback on forums. Is they asked feedback for different for each profession they're doing changes to, and they're doing weird things with these. So I said, like, you shouldn't do this because of this, shouldn't do this because of this, shouldn't do this because of this. And a lot of people had the same sentiments, but they just went ahead with whatever they planned in the first place. So I'm like, okay, so you didn't listen to any of us, and now it's like, well, I'm not going to contribute to the forums anymore because obviously you don't want feedback.
Though it is also important that just because they don't implement something doesn't mean they didn't listen. But also it could have been, the whoever higher up was going, no, we're keeping the change, but someone's like, no, clearly this.
It's like 70% of the thieves in there said like this is not needed or it's unnecessary or it's too much.
Yeah,
there was.
I don't know about other professions, but yeah, like
I do recall similar stuff dealing with that in World of Warcraft, where I think it was bubble and wings for paladins, and all the paladins were like, "Please no, this is broken. Don't give us this." And they did. So I suppose it's one of those things where sometimes the devs want a thing, and I suppose it's kind of one of those things where we talk about for example, we talk about Desert Borderlands, where they were trying to change the formula of WW.
Yeah.
And the WW players did not want to have the formula changed on them.
Yeah.
So.
But then they're now complaining that they should get new maps. And
I would be cool with seeing one more WW map so that each of the Borderlands would be different.
Yeah, it just needs to be designed for fighting, honestly.
Yeah. And then it would just rotate around. So.
But yeah, so a little glimmer of hope for where we were on PvP, at least from a balance perspective, and then hopefully other changes that are coming in, will hopefully get more people in there. But well, because they just said that they were working on like a balance build. I doubt it's gonna be here in time for because they just announced PvP season 19, which will start this Tuesday. So I don't think they had a date. I would imagine it's not coming Tuesday, but they didn't mention anything like it's going to come halfway through or anything like that. Is it?
Yeah, I would say next story patch.
Okay.
Maybe like before or after that one.
But yeah, that's the kind of other bit of news is season 19 is starting October 29th, which will be this Tuesday, and will run till December 23rd. I mean, hearing that the changes are coming, I mean, granted, I personally wasn't going to go into PvP anyway, but I feel like a lot of people might just write this one off because, I mean, the balance is already in so much tatters that they are hopeful maybe that once the changes are implemented that it'll be slightly better.
I actually don't know the state of PvP right now, to be quite honest. Last I checked, I think it was like I don't know if engineer is still like the tanky abusive type or anything like that, or I honestly don't know the status of it. If anyone in chat knows, let us know. But to me, it's just like another season for stuff.
I'll say there's not really anything added. Like, they didn't talk about anything added new. I guess honestly, you can still go after that Year of Ascension that's 4 years running at this point.
They're not going to get rid of that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But, as for anybody that's still running PvP regularly? I mean,
Get your loot.
well, or is that what you're gonna play Wednesday on Zero to Hero?
Maybe.
Well, it does start Tuesday, October 29th, so
Well, then, yeah, probably.
definitely hop on in if you are at all interested. You gotta do your placements. So
Yeah, that'll be fun. Please come hang out with me on Wednesday, chat. I need friends to get me through placements.
I mean, any other thoughts on the PvP season 19?
It exists.
I'm suppressor. 19. That's a long ways away. I haven't played since like 7 or 8. It's been a while.
I haven't played. No, probably season 2 or something. But see, the problem is with me, if I would go in there, I'd get killed so much it would seem like I was just giving them the kills to like for themselves. Like it would almost be charitable.
Intentional feeding.
Yeah, it would be charitable. Like I would
You say
almost be
if you-
donating my corpse.
Did you say if you play?
Yes, if I played PvP,
Okay.
I would die so much it'd almost be charitable. Speaking of charity and good causes,
Oh damn it.
that's how you do it. Extra Life 2019 campaign. They put out that you will be able to donate to Extra Life now. Visit the ArenaNet team page. If you'd like to stream your gameplay to raise funds yourself, you can also sign up on that page and join their team. They did say as soon as they reach $25,000 USD as their donation goal, ArenaNet will match it to raise the total to $50,000. Also, they said players who log into Guild Wars 2 between October 25th and November 4th will automatically receive an achievement and the title The Extra Life if they did not already unlock it in 2018, which I think this is the one chat was talking about earlier. Apparently, it's a different color.
It's in
that
blue.
yeah, it actually that opens up other.
That pops actually. I saw that when I was running around. I'm like, oh, do I have that title? I'm like, oh, I do. Cool.
And they said once they hit their first fundraising goal of 10,000, an in-game event will begin within the hour and last until 10 a.m. Pacific time on November 11th, which will activate 5% magic find, 5% experience from all sources, 3% extra reward reward track progress, and 3% PvP reward track progress. Also, every $10,000 they raise past the initial goal will grant another stack of that enhancement. For every $15,000 raised, all players will receive 15,000 karma, up to a total of 75,000.
Wow.
Ooh.
Also, Wild Eye Miller is pitching in with a karma donation event at the Mystic Forge and Lion's Arch. The community goal to unlock the Mystic Forge recipe for Salvation, a great sword with a unique skin. Purchasing any of the items will grant you a version of the in-game title, The Extra Life in blue text. And if they reach $75,000 in overall donations, players who purchase donation items will also receive a free permanent feisty feline tonic, which will transform you into a cute little tiger cub with cunning combat skills. Wait, is this a... No, okay, if it has cunning combat skills. I thought it was a battle tonic. I was like, can I literally run around and use my... Can I be a revenant feisty feline? That'd been awesome.
Probably not.
But yeah, I think there's like rotating stuff in the gem store, which we'll be talking about in a bit. But
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for a good cause, and it kind of goes back to the different color of the title. Do you think that would be a good incentive reward out there if you could get like different
Super
colored
easy
titles?
to get. But
Well,
yeah,
this one is
color
particular,
titles.
but rewards later on, like for raids or whatnot.
I don't know if they want to keep it exclusive to like event stuff, but that would be kind of neat if we had different colors. But then like there's only for me personally, I think there's only a spectrum of colors they can use. So you kind of want to, I would say they would want to hold on to that for special type of events. Like for example, if they release Path of Fire and they had a special title for that, like for anyone who pre-ordered or something like that, or well, as an example.
I don't know. I think these title, like, I mean, I could see them using it as an incentive to purchase stuff. I hope if they would use this as a reward structure, let's not do any in the gem store or in the, like, as a perk to purchasing POF or something. Like,
So you'd say
maybe PvP, make it a red one, like, you know, bloody, like you just slaughtered loads of people, like I don't know, a gold one for raids, or, you know,
A
like,
gold one for no turn. I'm rich, you know, gold.
there you go. That's
Ooh.
Like you could do that to current titles.
yeah.
I don't know about. Yeah, I guess some exclusive current title, like, because it be, you want that color to be significant for what you've done in the game, I guess. So I guess it depends on what you've done in the game. So if you got like first place in a automated tournament, or your first place in a season, you would get like a red color. That'd be kind of nice.
They say to unlock it, either purchase, if I'm not mistaken, where was it?
Donate karma. Go to Lion's Arch and donate karma to the NPC near the Mystic Forge, and I think you get the extra life title. And that's the
it
blue
does
title.
say players who log in during Guild Wars 2 between October 25th, or is that a different title?
Oh no, that's the same title.
Okay. Between October 25th and November 4th will automatically receive an achievement and the title of the extra life if they did not already unlock it in 2018. So
So there you go.
oh,
Just
the
lock it.
blue is the gem store oh, okay. So there's a slight variation to it. Okay. But yeah, so it sounds like you'll have to purchase something from the gem store, and like chat's saying, 75 gems for the karma booster, and that goes towards the extra life funds.
I
But
see.
any other thoughts on the? Because in the gem store we'll talk about the one bundle that came out that I think chat's already talking about. But any other thoughts on the extra life campaign in general?
Hooray!
Seems good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, color title collection 1. Well, we're gonna need more colors to obtain. But maybe if you spend so much in the gem store, they'll give you a purple title blue. Well, they already did blue. Crap. Sorry, I was thinking purple in the sense of Issa's gems that you get. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Arena. That's where you figure out what color would be good for the gem store one. But speaking of the gem store, we got the bundle that we were talking about in chat that actually goes towards the extra life donation that also will reward you with the blue title. It is 800 gems. You will get the mini guardian angel arene, which you're seeing right there. 5 extra life karma boosters, 5 temporary selfless boosters, and also in that same vein, the extra life karma booster itself, which, like chat was saying, is 75 gems, 5 for 275 gems, 20 for 800 gems, which is a 50% karma boost for 1 hour. Any of those will count towards that extra life donation, and then we'll net you the blue title. But yeah, look at Irene there. Such a cutie.
Daw.
But are any of you concerned picking this up?
I might grab the bundle just to help donate.
Yeah, the Arene's very intriguing.
I want OP translucent ring. Flew off into space.
Honestly, Elder Dragon Arene would be a pretty kick-ass Griffin skin.
I remember people saying that so many times. Like,
I legit thought we would get an Aurene Griffin skin at some point.
I agree. Yeah. Chat's saying also apparently POF is 50% off right now. Okay.
Well, there you go. If you don't have it already.
Yeah, definitely pick it up. Also new in the gem store, which is very thematic to the Halloween time, is the new Mad King mounts pack. And credit to Senieth, who put up a YouTube video of just kind of the preview of them. You can kind of see, because I think the pictures that they showed only had like 3 of them, but it does include, which ones does it? I know it's not all of them, unfortunately, but hold on, let me, while I link in chat, I think it doesn't have the beetle and the okay, the base POF mounts. I was say I didn't think it had the beetle or the sky scale. So, and there's the link to the video if you want to see it yourself. And if you're watching this on YouTube, links will be in the description. But yeah. So, I mean, once again, 1,600 gems for these mounts. What I do like the. I do like them all, but I just like the idea of the Springer because it basically has like a hood with its like flaming ear sticking out. But
these look really good.
Yeah, they look really nice, but really makes me wish there were the other ones in there. Like I'd like having a whole set of things. That's I think what deters me mostly from getting mount packs is like if I want. It's all about fashion wars. If I can't make my character look good all the way through and it all match, I don't want to invest in it. Like,
wait, so they don't have the.
Yeah, they basically have the core, only the core
the
POF
core
mounts,
5,
which
basically.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't have not Springer, the Beetle or Sky Scale
or Warclaw.
Or Warclaw, yeah.
That's
I
disappointing.
Think that's probably just because maybe not. Maybe the Warclaw is the exception, but I think they only did it because everyone can celebrate Halloween, but you don't necessarily have to get the Griffin skin in POF. You have to get the Griffin. You don't have to get the Sky Scale. You don't have to get the Warclaw. So they kind of just.
And I agree. Not everybody has the episode for the Beetle one. Same with the Sky Scale. I think that's the problem. Is if they add the other ones, they feel like they'd have to raise the price. But I mean, call me crazy. Couldn't they just put them in there and make a 1,600 gem bundle? That's a really good deal for a holiday. That's very temporary.
Yeah.
That honestly, if they had the whole set and it was 1,600 gems, I would probably be less likely to think and just buy it. Because I'd be like, that is a phenomenal deal. I would get all the ones, and unfortunately, yeah, they would have to raise the price, and yeah, people would make that complaint, which I would think was rightfully so. Is you're buying something that you're not going to get the full use out of, so then you would probably say, well, then I'm going to give it a pass.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'll never stop talking logic. But yeah, once again, I think that's, at least for me, what stops me from a sale is now that I know that they're going to add mounts or have added mounts that they're not. And I've seen some people say a catch-up bundle, but then you're going to run into that problem that I think we slightly had with the Warclaw one, where it seemed like it was thematic to some of the other sets. And then people were like, well, I don't have that set, so now that's useless to, like, because people want it to match. So it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I would love to see some of the Beetle ones. I know some people said, and I would love the idea. What if it was just the Beetle one was a massive, basically a massive pumpkin, or basically a massive, Mad King head running around flaming. I mean, we got Winter's Day coming up. What if it's a massive bauble? But
and then I can totally see people being like, okay, what about the PD's legs whenever you stop the roller beetle? I'm like, that's easy. You just have the pumpkin stop and little vines come out of it at the bottom.
Ooh.
Although then the people with arachnophobia might object, but like,
You don't have a griffin.
Gordon.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I guess they would have to sell it either separately or maybe they have metrics on it too that we don't know about, right? Because they
Yeah.
I don't know if they have packs with because they have everything but so we have 5 skins in there, so including the griffin, and griffin is arguably one of the harder ones to get due to doing extra stuff plus
There's some
having the
hoops to
gold.
jump through, and it's not in your face along the story.
Yeah, plus you have the gold sync, which
Yeah.
maybe not a lot of players can do right away. Versus the story, which people may not want to get the roller beetle. Like, I think they kind of played it safe in terms of the mount skins because, like, if you have POF, which is base now, and it's like everyone has all the 4 mounts if you play through POF. But then you have the extra Griffin one, and if they keep adding more skins that you potentially don't have, it's kind of less incentive to get it. I kind of get it from that perspective.
Well, I would say it's less incentive if they raise the price, which I definitely would see them doing that. Which I think
yeah,
would
they're
be
going to raise the price
mistake.
if they add another skin. Yeah,
because then you fall into the logic of I'm paying for something that I'm not have no avenue to use, or pay 200 more gems to unlock that chapter, which it's like,
yeah.
well, now I'm paying,
Yeah, I'm wondering if they would consider. They probably make more money doing packs, but I wonder if they consider just making separate ones.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have suggested that in the past, an
Or
a la
maybe-
carte feature. I mean, they've done it with other things that were originally just bundled.
Yeah, or just have a bundle for like the base ones, and then just have the extra ones as separate purchases,
Mm-hmm.
so that if you have the mount skin, you can at least confirm.
I like that idea. And even then, what if they were just like, they set the additional bundle things and then raise the price a little bit more to keep it a deal, but say, if you buy it with this bundle, it also unlocks those chapters so you can go back and earn the thing. So you can see that skin and go, well, I want that skin. And 200 gems, like, we always talk about in the, like, that's somewhat easy to farm in game. So why don't you just tack it on there and be like, if you buy through the bundle, maybe each of them would only cost 100 gems at that point, like worth of it.
Okay, so it'd be like Roller Beetle is 400 gems, but for 500 gems, you get the Roller Beetle and Living Story Season 3.
Yeah,
Season 3,
like
Episode 3.
like say if there was a Mad King's mount pack for the additional ones, so it would be 2 more. Like you said, put it at a 400 gem price point, make it 1,000 gems. You get both chapters and those mounts.
Interesting.
And it unlocks those 2 chapters. So it's like, now I can go and earn them, and I have a skin that I love waiting for me.
So here's the thing. That would require a discount feature based on other items. And I do not think that the Jump Store supports that right now. And it actually takes a while to make that type of system. Surprisingly. It's a good idea, but it would take like maybe 3-4 months.
As usual, that's always our ideas, is based off a system that we have not seen or anything. Like, while it's a cool idea, someone at ArenaNet might hear this and go, well, that's literally impossible at this point for or we'd have to invest so much time to figure it out that it's not worth.
I think,
like you said,
idea.
I like the idea, but maybe, like you said, versus the metrics that they have, they are saying, well, we're making this much money here, it would cost us this much money.
I would say they would experiment with it. From what I would definitely say, like, we would like this feature in order to experiment different packages that we can sell, because I definitely have had project managers like come to me and say, we want to test like different product packages together with different things, and then like we want to bundle it at this price, or like if you buy this you get this at a discount, if you buy this and you get this you get an extreme discount based on how many items you add and all that stuff. So like I can, like, when this first came out, it was probably very simplistic, and discounts are applied to like one item, which makes sense, but I don't think they have a system to apply discounts with other products combined in mind.
Yeah.
So make that additional thing either is additional structure that they have to implement, or they have to rewrite how they do discounts entirely in the gem store. Which is,
but yeah, like I said, I think we're all in agreement that we like the look of the mount
I
pack,
think they're
but
cool.
yeah, I think they're really cool looking, and it's just, yeah, for me, I wouldn't want to switch to another character or switch to another mount and be like, oh, this one doesn't have the cool skin.
I wouldn't mind, honestly. I have the Ecto suit skins, but then I have some legendary ones.
And you say you have the female fashion meta, and you're like, oh, I don't want to accessorize. Jeez.
I have the Akami
amateur
Wolf.
fashion wars.
I have the Akami Wolf. That's perfect.
Yeah, but it's not across the board. You gotta make them all look great. Come on, man.
They all look great. They have the exosuit one.
And audio cue from no. Ow.
Maybe can get the North by Ogden's hammer with savings when you click a sale.
My worry would be, well, it'd probably be great for them. People making a, like how Guild Wars 1, they made a video of basically their account getting banned because Doom would come up. People making videos to hear the sound bite and be like, well, we're rich now. Everybody just bought all this stuff on the gem store so they could hear that line. But yeah. Well, some of the returning stuff. We got the Haunted Armor outfit for 700 gems, the Halloween appearance package for 2,000 gems, the Hovering MAAD mirror for 175 gems, which is 30% off, the Haunted Gramophone for 420 gems, which is 30% off, the Wings of Love backpack glider combo for 700 gems, and the Winged Headpiece for 400 gems. So, any of that stuff you would recommend picking up? I always like the MAAD mirror. It always looked cool, but in a day of in a time of mounts, I don't know how often you would get use out of it is the problem.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever bought a hover item.
Which for people who know, that's kind of just like a riding toy. But like I said, in a day where we have mounts, I don't know how often you would ride, but it is a cool aesthetic because it is a mirror that, like, when you look through it, it basically looks like the starry kind of dimension of like the night sky from, the Halloween event. So. But I don't know. Any other thoughts for the gem store?
Nope.
Last up, we have Community Corner, and first we have another update for the DX9 to 12 system. It's now in version 1.9 by Reddit user MegaI2. They did add a frames per second limiter and informational overlay. Fixed batch data reusage optimization, also fixed a query interface crash, updated the BNS pin screen pack to fix shadow problems, added extra config options to control GPU, and fixed crash on exit, which if people using that or want to check it out, it basically allows Guild Wars 2 to utilize DX12, which this doesn't really affect. It is a third-party thing, but I don't think it really affects gameplay or something, so hypothetically, it should be safe, but once again, always err on the side of caution. But I think in the past, people have said it. People like Anet people have come out saying that it is okay to use, but don't quote me on that. But I swore we talked about that one time previously. But yeah, because I know a lot of people would love Guild Wars 2 on DirectX 12. It's just been built for 9 and kind of tough for Anet to bring it up to 12. But
Shiny.
yeah, so definitely check that out if you're at all interested. Also, Gamers Giving Back, their Pink Day in LA event was last week. We talked all about it. They did announce that they have raised over, well, at the time from the tweet, $4,578.77. And I think that was just, I want to say that was that in total? Yeah, I think that was at total, but that was, I think, at the end of Saturday. So I'm not 100% sure where it's currently at, but they did say that, do remember if they do hit their $10,000 mark by October 31st, that some people on the Pink Day in LA staff, Gamers Giving Back staff, are going to get tattoos. I'm guessing Guild Wars 2, or I think they're the Quaggin ones or something, but boy, that would be a severe punishment for me, having a Quaggin tattoo. But
Duly
yeah,
noted.
Trust me, I will never agree to that. There's not enough.
Oh, it's not about you agreeing.
Okay, this is getting slightly dark. The Guild Wars also up. The Guild Wars 2 Rating League Season 1. Remember, it's 2 leagues, gold and silver. The registration for both will be actually open till October 26th. So today is your last day if it has not already stopped, which we'll throw the link in chat just in case you are at all interested. But the season will begin the week after on October 28th and finish on December 15th. You can, but yeah, so definitely enter it. And I think we've said in the past, it's nice that unfortunately, while we might have seen an end to, or a big lapse or an end to the elitist rating party kind of event, that some people are still trying to do other rating leagues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Never say never. Oof, that would have to be a pretty hefty price. Like
$1 million.
it might have to be more than that for me to get a Quaggin tattoo. Tattoos are
$100 million.
You better be calling Jeff Bezos for some.
What about a
fun.
temporary Quaggin tattoo? Does it get reduced price? Temporary.
No, the price would be high, but
right.
it would be more likely.
$25,000 temporary Quaggin tattoo.
How temporary? Like, when does it wash off in the bath at the end or something? Like a kid's tattoo?
Yeah.
So like literally a day? Okay, yeah.
I should start lower,
but this isn't me defining it. There still has to be rules and stuff, but yeah. Anyway,
all right. So we're gonna raise $25,000 for the children for Extra Life, and then Dale will get a tattoo. Temporary.
Didn't say that.
Tattoo.
Didn't say that. So
it's okay. I speak for Dale, guys. Don't worry. Gotcha.
No, he doesn't.
We should start an Extra Life. We'll plan for 2020. Yeah.
No. Also,
someone clip this for me so I remember.
And then make sure to add the part where I go no.
See,
I am thinking of the future children that I might want to have one day, that no one will ever want to date me if I had a Quaggin tattoo.
Okay,
and Jim, I think, just came back at the right time on that conversation.
Hear me out. All right.
So you have a Quaggin tattoo?
No, and I won't.
Here's the thing. Let's say for 2020 we do an Extra Life stream at $25,000. Dale gets a temporary Quaggin tattoo. We get to take a picture of it. We get to have it on stream, and you can take it off after that.
He did
for
say
the
temporary.
children. For the
I know.
children.
I talked him down to temporary because I was like, there is no way.
Temporary for the
permanent
children.
tattoo.
Yeah, I'm game for that. That sounds great.
I'm glad everybody else is you all can get some temporary tattoos.
Well,
Yeah, sure.
I'll get a tattoo
We'll
with you.
We'll
Yeah.
get matching temporary Quaggan tattoos for the
Yeah.
children.
Okay, let's not on his forehead, on his arm or something, you know. Well, I'll get
Well,
one
if it's
on
temporary, if it was temporary, I was like saying like if it's gonna be like only a day's worth, I would want it to be somewhere embarrassing because I mean, if you're throwing money at it, it should be somewhat.
Forehead.
Oh, forehead. All right. Oh,
Should I
guess
have
you
like
guys-
one like was it Mike Tyson? It's a Quaggan look like he's gonna eat my eye, so it's like. Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. But once again, this isn't me agreeing.
Yeah, it is.
No. Last up, we have the 14th King and Queen Horrorween Glaze Revenge, which it is actually happening today at 6 p.m. CEST, which I think it still is, or I don't know if it has started or not yet. I'm bad with time zones. But it is an EU event we have been talking about in the past. It is taking place in Lion's Arch on EU servers. Based on the plot for 2019, trapped on a cursed pirate ship. They need to escape before Halloween. They are having festivities to be scheduled. They did say if you're not on EU servers, there will be raffles that you can join. They do recommend a workaround of you can create a free account, and if you win, they can mail the stuff to your NA account since things can be mailed back and forth between different sides. But if you want to partake in that, we'll throw links in the description. Unfortunately, if you're probably watching this on Sunday, you have probably missed it. But that is why it pays to show up live. And speaking of which, I think that is it for this week. And I'm sure during after show, they'll probably continue to try to convince me and see if there is a settlement for this weird Quaggan tattoo thing. But until then, Jim, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitter at MalvanusMMO. You can also find me live on twitch.tv/MAAD Realms. That's 2 A's in the MAAD. This very channel, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. for Zero to Hero, our weekly Guild Wars 2 PvP shenanigans. Gannery. I don't know.
Shenanigans.
I'm going to be doing placements this Wednesday. Please help. Please be there. Keep me sane. I appreciate it. Placements are always bad in any PvP system. Any PvP
Suffer together.
system.
No, that's true. Honest.
Like it really is. Placements are just bad. I need chat's help. I need your
There you go.
energy.
Oh, he's pulling a Goku. He needs your help, everybody. Hold out your hands. And Age, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Age Night Road. And you could also find me on the streets of Brooklyn. Fighting crime. All that
Oh,
stuff.
I was like, totally missed that. I was like, whoa.
I'm not streaming this week. I had a rough week, but we'll see about next week. Next week should be better, hopefully. And I'm gonna try to take a nap so that I can actually be awake for our Warframe podcast via the Void, which is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. I think we're just gonna say it's every week at 8 p.m. now.
At this current time, I would say so. But,
It's a thing. Yeah. And you can hear me be happy about Gauss, and you can hear Dale be happy about Grendel.
hopefully by
And-
then.
Yeah.
Probably not. I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk all about that. We'll probably talk about that during after show as well because we tend to talk about Warframe. And then if you're interested in Guild Wars 2, show up for the Warframe podcast because usually we talk about Guild Wars 2 during pre-show and after show. So we like to flip things. But oh jeez. And you can find me at simply_Dale on Twitch and Twitter. But who am I kidding? Most time on Twitch, it's usually here at MAAD Realms, as Jim said, 2 A's in the MAAD. But yeah, if you are just popping the very end, do stick around. We do a bit of an after show. But if you want to watch this in full, we do highlight it on Twitch, twitch.tv/MAAD Realms. But if your preference of choice is YouTube, it is on our YouTube, youtube.com/MAAD Realms. That goes up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you missed it, I'll just say it here as well, in case if you watched the Warframe podcast, we were tapering it through our website, which was madrealms.com. That is also going to follow suit as you see here on this show. When we put it up on YouTube, it will go up on the website at the same time. We started doing that with last week's episode of the Warframe podcast as well, so you'll be getting that a day earlier for Warframe podcast on Wednesdays. So, but if you want to be live for Guild Wars 2, Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Warframe podcast Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. But anyway, yeah, that is it for this week, and we'll see everybody next time in the game. Good night, everybody.